Welcome to the Developing Life Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Developing Life Podcast. Today we have an extraordinary guest who is redefining the boundaries of technology and human potential, Dr. Uohna Thiessen. If you want to understand how AI and data science are revolutionizing the business world, this episode is an absolute must listen. Dr. Thiessen is a powerhouse in the field of AI and data science with over a decade of groundbreaking work under her belt. Starting her journey in biochemistry and later earning a PhD in epidemiology, Dr. Thiessen has carved a unique path that bridges the gap between hard science and cutting-edge technology. Her work in developing disease prediction algorithms has set new benchmarks in the field, particularly in improving cardiovascular disease risk models. Dr. Thiessen's career reads like a tech visionary's playbook. She's held pivotal roles such as Director of Artificial Intelligence at Nextelligence and Senior Data Scientist at Meta, where she has driven massive advancements in AI and machine learning. Her expertise has helped optimize operations, elevate decision-making processes, and innovate in ways that many can only dream of. But what truly sets Dr. Thiessen apart is her unwavering commitment to education and knowledge sharing. As an adjunct lecturer at Caltech's Center for Technology and Management Education, she's inspired countless students with her courses in machine learning, deep learning, and AI. Her mission is clear: democratize technology and promote data literacy across the board. In today's episode, Dr. Thiessen dives deep into the transformative power of chatbots and AI in business. She breaks down the strategic advantages in lead generation and customer engagement, explores the different types of chatbots, rule-based, AI-driven, and hybrid models, and shares best practices for implementing these technologies. Plus, she emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and optimization to keep these systems effective and relevant. This conversation is packed with insights that can fundamentally change the way you approach AI and technology in your business. Get ready to be inspired and enlightened by one of the leading voices in AI and data science. Join me in welcoming our host, True Adams, and our special guest, Dr. Uohna Thiessen.
Uohna, your career trajectory up until you becoming a data scientist is absolutely fascinating. So let's start off a little bit by you sharing what initially drew you to data science and how your diverse scientific background actually helped shape your perspective and your approach in this field.
Yes. So just as when you saw my screen a few minutes ago with all of the tabs open, that has been my life. And just recently, like last year, so I learned about the concept of neurodivergence and neurodivergency, and I think I don't know, I'm not sure. But so I've always been drawn to the sciences and math. My undergraduate was in biochemistry, and at that time I was thinking probably med school or something. But after that I worked, and then I started teaching, and I really, really loved teaching because I'm an extrovert, if you can't tell. I'm just
a little bit.
Yes.
I picked that up. Yeah.
And so I was teaching, and then I decided I wanted to, go to grad school, and I first got, why am I good? Anyways, I got a scholarship to study neuroscience, and I hated it because you were in the lab at the bottom of a building, like all day working with rats. And I was like, this is not for me. I don't. So, when I was in that program, we had a lot of data collected, and we were doing all the analysis of the data. And I loved that. And so much so that my friends would bring me their data to analyze because they hated it. And I found it very, interesting and rewarding. And so I shifted my program from neuroscience to statistics, so biostatistics specifically in the epidemiology field. And I, on completing my degree, my PhD, I worked as a statistician, and a consultant for other academics doing analyzing their data. And then the field of data science was just kind of emerging, but because I had the background in statistics and I was comfortable with all of the tools then, SPSS and Excel and SAS and all of those things, I started doing some data science work. And then I realized that there were some limits to those GUI tools. And so I learned programming, R first, and then Python. And, once I had that under my belt, then the whole world of data science and machine learning opened up to me. And I started doing more projects, working at companies, in the healthcare field firstly, and then, of course, at other places, Meta included. Yeah, and then while there, generative AI burst on the scene in terms of public awareness. I was already teaching machine learning, natural language processing, and deep learning, and all of those kinds of stuff. And so suddenly everybody became aware of the thing that I had been teaching for a while. And so the demand just exploded. And I felt a compulsion by my own that people need to understand the science of these amazing models, and so here I am working in the field. I'm director of artificial intelligence at a startup, but I'm also teaching and doing crazy things on LinkedIn and other platforms, including TikTok and all that kind of stuff, because I have a TikTok channel called Data Science and Dance. Haha. That's my secret.
Not me about to go search that. Data science and dance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have some videos on LinkedIn of me dancing and doing things like that.
Okay. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. And I would not have, well, maybe I would have expected that from you, from seeing some of your posts.
You should have.
Yeah, I should have known better, right? So we were going to deep dive into chatbots and conversational AI systems and your knowledge of all of that. So from your experience, and if this prompts you to start sharing all of that valuable information in your slides, then please let's go ahead and do that as well. But
Okay.
from your experience, what are the most significant strategic advantages that you think chatbots and conversational AI systems actually bring to business today, especially in terms of like lead generation and customer engagement? Like, what are the things that you think have made the most noticeable impact with that?
Yes. Yeah, it's just transformed the market. But again, it seemed to not be reaching as many as it should, So yeah, so before we kind of talk about the impact, maybe we can do a little bit of the foundation as far
Yes.
as these models are concerned, because in how do I navigate this now? Because I'm seeing my screen, but not this. Okay, there we go. Yeah, right. So I'm gonna try to skip all the stuff because there's a lot of content on here. Right. So in general, these CB/CAI, as they're called, chatbots / conversational artificial intelligence, right? And the basic principle is that they use natural language to communicate with the users. Some of them are AI based, others are not. But in general, the ones that are most popular right now are the ones that do, and they use NLP, or natural language processing, and machine learning, as well as dialogue management, to be able to give these kinds of really seamless user experience that makes people feel that they are talking or engaging with an actual human. But there are some differences in these types of systems, right? And so they fall into two main classes. There's the simple text-based or task-based, rule-based type of models, and then there are the AI, generative AI or retrieval-based type of models. And of course, there you can have a hybrid of these two. And so when you're thinking about CB/CAI, you need to start thinking, oh, is this rule-based or is it one of the artificially intelligent type of models, right? Because when you talk about the rule-based, you can have menu or button-based, and then you can have the linguistic type of models, or you can have the keyword recognition. So there's not much AI going on here. But then you have the other types of models, the machine learning ones, the hybrid, you have the voice, and you can even have a chat version. Not when I say not voice and phone, there's another term for it. But anyways, that models can actually call you on the phone and have a conversation with you, right? And so those are the two main, these are the two main groups. And one is, of course, these are much simpler, cheaper, faster, easier to implement, but there are limits to them, right? And so these are safer because the way the rule-based, button-based works, and these are represent more of the older type of models, older type of chatbots. And we've probably all engaged with one of these and experienced the limits of it, because if you ask a question that is not part of the what's already in the model's base, then it can't answer. It will either say it can't or not. So I think I had a picture of one of them here somewhere, if I can show it. But just in general, like you have very specific topics that the model will engage in, and it's pre-programmed with the answers or the responses. If it's not pre-programmed, then there will be certain keywords that it will be looking for in your question, and it will then give a response based on those keywords. But it's very structured and it has a specific goal in the end. Whereas the AI-based models, they allow for a lot more flexibility and customizability, and all of these, what we're now talking about, hyper personalization of the experience for the users. And one thing I want to show before we get into talking about it specific to marketing is that yeah, so this is kind of how the chatbot, the CAI version works, right? So there is natural language processing involved. There's usually a knowledge base. So this could be information from your website, or it could be your company's FAQ system, or any kind of data that you want the model to use as the base for its answering. And then if they are AI enabled, they can store information, they can analyze the information or the interactions with the users, and they can also then customize the interaction that they are generating for the users. Now, this here is a snapshot of some of the benefits that these types of models can offer, right? So for the customers, of course, you get personalized responses, and then you can speed up your interaction, your ordering, your purchasing, or even just information gathering with the use of a chatbot. Then you can have order management, so the chatbot can keep track of everything in terms of when you ordered, where it is in terms of the journey, and or if you want to return or whatever situation you might be having, the chatbots can handle all of that. And then of course you can design your chatbot such that if it is a problem, then they can direct you to a human person, right? And then for the business, of course, the similar benefits in terms of the increased enhanced customer experience, because everybody wants their customer to have an experience such that they come back to whether the site or the business or whatever. Sales loyalty will be increased because they're now having a better experience, and so they're less likely to go to another proprietor. And then the promotions they can be targeted to the customer based on their preferences, their interests, their locations. So you can program these systems such that they will generate different responses based on certain information that is provided by the user, and they can then store that information. So every time the user interacts, it will remember who this person is, where they live, what they like, and so you don't have to like go through that whole thing again. And of course, the cost-effective solution, which sometimes I'm hesitant to mention because people feel threatened, like, they're getting rid of customer service as a whole. But I don't think that will ever happen. There's always going to be a place for customer service, human customer services, because there are certain things that these models can do, and there are certain things that they cannot do. And I feel like using the models, it gives businesses and everyone else to be able to spend more time or to focus or more energy on the things that they can do, that make them unique, and whatever the business is that they're offering. So that's just in a general sense. And I'm going to pause here because I have another slide to talk specifically about marketing feedback.
Oh my goodness. So Heather said in the comments that her brain is exploding, and I co-sign. That was absolutely amazing. That was a lot of information that I wasn't even aware of. Like I understand that, of course, this type of implementation is going to create just an enhancement to your strategic, how you're going about your business. But to have it all laid out like that just makes it so much more solid, and understanding how much needed that type of.
Yes, yes.
It
I
is.
agree. I believe that there's gonna that there's be a time when everybody's gonna have a chatbot. And if you
Yeah.
don't have some kind of chatbot, the customer clients are not gonna, it's like where we were before websites, where everybody had
Yeah.
to have a website for their business. I think it's getting to that place where everyone is gonna have to have a chatbot. Because
Right.
even when you prefer to talk to a human, there sometimes you don't. I mean, I'm a introvert. I love people. I love chatting, but there are times when I'm just like, you know what? I just want to interact with the model, the machine, or something to kind of expedite things. So I think that's where we're getting to.
Right, right. So if this again touches on what you're going to be working on with what you've created already with your slides,
Mhm.
again, please jump right back in. But you did share something recently on LinkedIn when you had a document presentation titled 10 Things About LLMs That Every Professional Should Know.
Yes.
And that was also a great introductory breakdown on how LLMs can transform various professional fields. But with the advancements in all of this, what emerging technologies and trends do you see that are pivotal in shaping the future of chatbot functionalities within digital marketing strategies? If we want to like touch on that perspective, can you walk us through that a little bit and maybe touch on some of the key points that you made in your post and what you have prepared for us today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so I shared that post, and I'm gonna stop sharing because I want to find that again. And
Okay.
I don't want everybody to see how much garbage is on my computer. But so while I'm doing that though,
Mm,
it's important to realize that, the technology, so we had chatbots, right? We've had chatbots for a number of years now, and they have been mostly, as I said, the rule-based types. So, I've experienced the frustration of if you have a question or some kind of query that is outside of what the bot has been trained on before, then it just can't answer. And so that
mm,
has left a lot of people frustrated. And so even now, there are some people who are hesitant to interact with chatbots or
mm,
even, implement a chatbot in their business because they're thinking about the experience as it was, in the past. But now with the AI system as we have, even the ones that are rule-based or, some kind of keyword recognition, they're much, much more efficient. And we can do a whole lot more in terms of training on specific data and customizing, the tools, customizing it to make it much more user-friendly and give a much better experience. Before, there were just like a few questions, and if you had anything outside of that, it couldn't help you. But now
Right.
that's a lot different. Yeah, so there are certain things about these LLMs that, it's important for us to understand, like, that they are not intended to replace anyone or to become a crutch. They are enhancement, they're tools. They are supposed to take over some of the automated tasks, but they also, generate a lot of ideas. There are certain times when I'm trying to think of something and I can't really, and I'll put the question to the model, whichever one I'm using at the time, and I'll ask for the ideas. And they, sometimes the ideas it gives me, I don't use, but it
Yeah.
triggers something else, right? And
Yeah.
so, that's one of the things. And then if you have a problem, you can always ask the model as well. One of the things as marketers or people, in business, it's important for you to set up a customized version of your model. And you don't have to have the expensive version of ChatGPT to do that. There are free platforms where you can um, give the specifications and the context to the model, and it will keep that. So you can say what kind of business you have, who your ideal client is, what your goal is or your intent is. So then every time you need, whether it's a post or an article or an image, it will do it from the perspective of that, what you've trained it in. Then, of course, it can do, for all the way from programming to, data analysis, all of these things. So when you have a chatbot, one of the advantages is that you can collect the data in terms of your customers' interaction. So you can collect what kind of questions they're asking, what are they looking for, what are they not so happy with, what did they not find, and then you can also collect things in terms of how frequently they're interacting, what time of day, where they're interacting from, who they are, as far as, whatever features that you want. And you can collect all of that, and it will then give you ideas for first, what type of marketing you should be putting out that appeals to the ideal customer, but also in terms of the service and the products that you are providing. So you might be thinking that you are providing coaching for small businesses or whatever the case is. But when you look at your interaction on the chatbot, you realize that a lot of the interaction is coming from, I don't know, students or moms or whatever, and that kind of really that information is extremely valuable. The big companies are collecting that data, and so everyone should be collecting their own data and using that to inform their strategy. Of course, they are the conversational curators, right? Because that's in the name. Chat and conversation is what they're all about. So even for the people who might be introverts, whether it's you or your customers, this is a way for you to get information, to be able to, kind of get insight, get understanding about how they think, what they feel, what they may not share with you openly, right? And then because of the capabilities of the models now, you can use it to do sentiment analysis and really get insight, because sometimes people, we say, oh, I'm okay, or I like this, or they don't really give. But then if you get to probing a little bit more, you realize, maybe that's not quite how they feel. So that's just one of the advantages. And of course, the bilingual opportunities, right? That allows you to be able to communicate in all of the languages. Well, I should say as many languages as possible. Pedro might be more familiar with this. I try to use the models to do some language translation, mostly in Spanish, because sometimes I do stuff in Mexico. But I'm always kind of leery, because even when the model translates, I do give it to a natural, someone who is a native speaker, and say, please, because the models are not 100%. So I don't want to offend anybody with that stuff. And then the marketing maestros. These models, even the ones that are not trained and customized, they have a vast array of knowledge about marketing and branding and selling, and even about psychology and all of these things. So you would want to leverage all of that. So, for example, like when I'm writing an article, I always ask the model to suggest a title, right? And of course, I make sure and put in the information in terms of what the article is about, who it's intended for, what's the platform, and always make sure that it has some element of who I am. All of my models that I use, whether it's ChatGPT or Bing or Bard, are customized to me. So, for example, my ChatGPT, I am Dr. Uohna Thiessen. I'm a data scientist with this many years of experience. I've done this and I've done that. And so when I ask it to do something, it's kind of uncanny, but it actually responds like I would. So yeah. And then of course, Code Composer, programming. I have used it for programming. I've used more so the Bing version of the model for programming. I have used ChatGPT somewhat, but I find Bing is a lot more efficient in terms of that. So, and now with these systems, these models can take your ideas and generate an entire code outline whether it's to create a website or to create an app or, almost anything. Of course, there's going to be some tweaking that's required, but what they're able to do is pretty amazing. Storytelling. This is probably the favorite thing I love about the LLMs, just how creative they are. And I hear some people say that, oh, I don't think the models are very creative. Or I've had teachers complain to me that students are using the models and they're all coming up with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that's because they are not putting in all of the specifications, all of the context, all of the, the various unique ways that you can get a response out of the model. And then, of course, once you get the first response, you don't want to take that. You say, oh, this is great. Can you make it more whatever? And iterate on that. These models are like playgrounds. You don't just take the first thing, right? You play with it, you tweak it, you test it, you do all of these things, and that's what gives you data diviners. So it's again about digesting the data and making sense of it and giving you back something that is actionable. And then you have the assistant. So you can have from the basic rule-based ones in terms of a flow chart of what to do next, all the way to now we have assistants that you can create the workflow that you want to have for whatever it is, whatever task it is that you do normally. So if you are writing, if you have a chatbot and assistance for article writing, you can take your company's information and put that in, and then you have a spot for putting in some current affairs or something, and then it will generate articles based on that, and then you can take the output of that and put it into another model to edit it and optimize it, and then you can take that and put it into another model and say, can you give me a LinkedIn and a Facebook and an Instagram and a Snapchat tweet, all based on the same thing. So you can really streamline your work and just become more efficient. Yes, this is important. They are delusional disseminators, right? Because the models do hallucinate. And, people always say that as it's a bad thing. No, that's part of its creativity. It's how it's trained, such that again, this takes back to my training as a statistician. These are models that work on probability. So it's giving you the highest probability, highest probable answer based on the data. So even if, you're asking something about cars or whatever, and it doesn't have data relative to that, it will give you information about a truck because that's the thing highest likely to be closer. So you want to make sure you check, the stuff that you are putting out, and that you, always either consult with or engage someone who is savvy, who understands how these models work. And, even if you don't, just you yourself be aware of the potential for issues, and bear in mind that these models can cause harm if not used properly, like most other tools.
Right. Let me stop you before you go to your next slide, touching on delusion, because with
I think I'm done with that. Yeah.
Are you? Oh yeah. Okay. Heather said, humans, we're delusional too, which is funny.
Exactly.
It's
Right.
charming, actually. Have you found that when you get an output from the system and you may think that there's a little bit of indiscrepancy, are you able to go back into the chat itself and kind of get the AI to confirm that what it just told you had any type of inaccuracies in it, and to possibly correct it?
I always do. I always correct any error, because like these models are all still in beta stage, and they are being trained as we use them. So anytime,
Mhm.
even when sometimes I interactions with my models that are really crazy, because sometimes when I ask a question and they can't answer me, and I get the answer, I put it back and I say, this is the answer that I expected from you, and it'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll
Like,
be
oh, I'm
sure.
sorry.
But yes, it's so important to correct. But
Yes.
it's also important to realize that, and I want to just show, without getting too technical here. So let's do something.
Mhm.
Mm, let me see. OpenAI platform. Right. So this is OpenAI's platform that you can use. It's not it's different from the Chat GPT, which is the more common one, right? But you can go into this platform here, and now you're going to see all the crazy stuff I've been doing. But what it does allow you to do is and let's see. Yeah. Is not what I was hoping for. But there's the OpenAI's platform that allows you to set the features on the models, right? So you can choose just how creative, or whether you want the model to stick to the facts or not. And so
Mhm.
that is something that I think a lot of people are not aware of, because it's not just the open playground. That's what it is, what I was looking for.
Okay.
Right. And so inside of this playground on the right side here, you can adjust the temperature, and of course the maximum tokens, so the size, the number of how much text you can input.
Right.
Then you can put in specifics about stop sequence, penalty, and all that kind of stuff. So if you say put the temperature at 0, it is going to stick to the facts. If you
Okay.
want it
Okay.
to be creative, then you would increase the temperature, and you could do 1, you could go all the way up to 2. And if you put it at say 2, it'll just generate gibberish,
Whatever.
because yeah, right, because it's a matter of probability. So when you put in this temperature, it's going to stick to the very thing that is in the data as it's related to the question. If not, then it tries to be creative and give other types of responses. So that's one of the things that you can do to control some of the hallucination.
Right.
But again, what most companies do, or even some individuals, if they do have a chatbot, they make sure that the chatbot first is trained on their data, trained on
Mhm.
the data from their website, from their business, from their entity. And then you put guardrails into the model, so you can say, uh, you know, restrict your responses only to information in this data set, whatever database. If not, simply say to the user, I'm sorry, but I cannot answer that. So those are some of the things that we do to protect the models from going crazy, but yeah.
Dr. Uohna, oh my God.
I mean, I want to go into so much more, but listen.
No, I
um,
absolutely know that you do. And listen, I'm already in the back of my mind. I'm trying to figure out when we can bring you back
listen,
for part
we
2.
need like a whole session to kind of go
We
into
need a Dr.
all
Uohna
the
series,
about these things,
ma'am.
because
Yes,
I need to like show people how to use the tools in ways
right.
that it's, to their advantage.
Yeah,
And then even when it comes to chatbots and other things, you can create your own basic
yeah.
chatbots,
Yeah,
right?
I would really love to have you back for that specifically, to have like a real-time building of one
Yes,
of those
yes.
chatbots. That would be
Yes, yes,
phenomenal.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
People need to start exploring and start seeing. And I know it can seem intimidating if you're not, you don't have a technical background, or if you don't,
right.
not used to it, but it's not. It's so easy. So we really
Yeah.
need to do a session. But anyways.
Everybody's so excited. Like I'm side-eyeing the chat, and
Okay. I
we're
can't I
hyped. We're all hyped. Lisa said, please teach me everything. That is outstanding. So please continue.
Right. So we were talking like, a specific use case. And this
Mhm.
is how it would use the models for lead generation, say, right? So if you have a chatbot on your website, or, whatever platform you have, then that chatbot can be trained to be, kind of give information about whatever it is your business is about, right? And it can be trained in a way that it can cater the information it provides to the individual. So if it's their first time interacting with the website, or maybe they've been here before, or they have some knowledge, then the responses can be tailored to that. And then based on their, so the chatbot is now interacting. It's going to say, hey, how are you? How can I help you today? Or what would you like to learn about something? So whatever then the user puts in, it can then tailor its response to that specific case. So if it's just rule-based, then it's only going to address, in this case, I think here we had one rule-based that was only get the email or additional qualifying questions. So depending on what the user did, it would either go here or there. And then, based on the email capture, it would either kind of schedule a meeting for talking with a live person, or in this case, allow the user to put in some ticket about what issue they might be having. So that's how these are set up. But here it's just two options. You can have as many options as you deem, right? So you can have 3 or 4 different types of options. You don't want to overwhelm the user, of course, right? But you give 3 or 4 options that it can follow that path and kind of get some idea of what the user is trying to do. And then once it's kind of established what it is it's trying to do, then the model will either present some specific case studies about how the product or service worked and how somebody benefited from it, or it can even give a comparison of other options, or it can, so this is one of the ways it can really tailor, right? So I may want to do a comparison of other products, but another user might be saying, no, I don't want to, just tell me about your stuff and how it works. Or someone may say, well, I already know how it works. Can you tell me, I don't know, what's the warranty or any, those kind of stuff. And so the model then will take all of that into consideration. And what these models do, when you train the models, you always have, in terms of the flow of the conversation, there's something called the intent, right? And that is, what is the user trying to do? What does the user want? So for example, if it's like a restaurant or something, and people are ordering food, right? They're gonna people may have different ways of naming or describing the food. And so you have keywords that the model is going to be looking for. Now, if it's a rule-based, you have select options that they click on. Otherwise, you allow them to type in what it is they're trying to find. And they may say, oh, I'm looking for vegetarian lasagna. And then you can say, oh, great. Would you like I don't know anything about vegetarian lasagna. I don't know why that came into my head, but but and so it kind of walk them through, or maybe say how large, how many pounds, or something along those lines, right? And kind of guide them to, and they may say, I don't know, how much I need. So then the model can say, well, our medium-sized lasagna serves 6. Is that going to be enough, or would you like something larger? Or and these are the kind of experiences that you can give your users with these chatbots. And you can and they can have this at any time of the day. That's what makes it really amazing. Because I don't know about you people, but I tend to do work at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why.
That would be Devron, not me.
You're early bird.
I am. We actually don't think Devron sleeps, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my husband is like, because he'll go to sleep and I'm up, and then he'll wake up and I'm up. And I have slept.
Yeah.
I slept 3, 4 hours, 5 hours. Sometimes it depends, But sometimes when I get the creative juice flowing, it's like, oh my gosh, I just want to. So I may decide, you know what? I forgot I need to order this certain thing, and I go to the website. So it's nice that I have a chatbot there I can interact with.
Yeah.
And then of course it can guide the user through various purchase options. And then once it's done that, it can give, tracking information, and the user can even come back if it has questions about where's my order, what's happened, blah, blah, and that kind of stuff. And, then you always hopefully build in some kind of an out such that if they are asking for something that, is really different and outside of what the model is able to respond to, you say, would you like to speak to the human agent, or something like that, right? So it takes away this idea, before, if you wanted to get information, you had to send an email and you had to wait until, office hours for the business, wherever that was, and then somebody would read it and then respond, and then you have to send back and you have to wait, so that part of it is really, just kind of eliminated. And also, the user can explore as many options. So they say, oh, okay, I thought I wanted lasagna, but maybe, how about the meatloaf? And they can explore that as long as they want. So that, because the model is not going to get exasperated and say, but I thought you wanted.
Right.
And it just it's all about the customer experience. That's one of the great things, right? And so even if the person says at the end of all of this, said, you know what, I don't think I want to order any pizza anymore, but now you have that interaction saved. So
Right.
the next time you're having a sale on pizza, you will be sure to let said person know, or send them a flyer or a discount or something, right? And then you knew that they were at one time possibly interested, and so that is, in considered a warm lead, or is that a hot lead? I don't even know. But you could always give that kind of information specific to things that they might be interested in, and instead of spamming them with every product and every sale that you have, you restrict it to things that they might have already been interested in. So that's just kind of an example of how, you can use these models to generate leads.
Wow. Just a real quick, simple example. Y'all get that? Okay. I love this. I'm joking, but this is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, the rabbit hole goes deep. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If you know, I have slides upon
Yeah. I
slides
feel like
upon
it goes deep
slides.
and it branches. I'm feeling
Yep.
I'm feeling that.
Yeah, right. Because you could say, you know what, I don't want to learn, I just want to learn about this type here. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
That is crazy. Okay, well, I'm gonna divert really, really quickly.
Sure.
'Cause I saw another side eye that Devron had a question.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna throw this in here.
Sure.
He said, what are some of the most common mistakes or misuses of chatbots that you see, and how can we make sure that we avoid these issues and maintain or enhance the connection and the user journey?
Yeah, that's important. That's really important. You know, as again I said, a lot of people are still turned off on chatbots because of the bad experience they've had in the past, right? So if the chatbots are not flexible, not customizable, that can be a turn off for
Mhm.
the clients. Of course, you don't want chatbots that spew garbage or offensive things. That's the other thing you want to be leery of. But the most important thing is to focus on emphasizing giving your clients a unique experience. And so the best way, so when I'm working with a company client to create a chatbot, I spend a lot of time studying the business,
Mhm.
that company's business, its platform, its services, products, or whatever. Then I studied the industry as well. Then I studied the clients, and make sure I have an understanding. And then there's a lot of, feedback. Feedback is important, iteration, and saying, okay, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And talking with the team, all of the stakeholders involved, getting their input. That is extremely important because you don't want to create something that you think is going to be the solution and it turns out not to be.
Right.
So I always start with, the ideation, making sure that I have involved everyone who would have, a responsible or interaction with the chatbots, even clients, even customers, so you do a prototype, you test it out very carefully, whether that's internally or not. You collect the responses and you evaluate them and you do the tweaking and the optimizing before you do the big rollout. And even after you've done the big rollout, you want to make sure that you're monitoring the output from the models and always having some kind of strategy for making changes, making adjustments, making the models better, right? Because even the best model, the environment changes, the client changes, the product changes. And so you always want to make sure that your chatbot is kept up to date, right? Because you don't want a chatbot that, I've had the experience of, there was a school, and I shall not name names, that had a chatbot and, students were asking questions and it was giving incorrect information about what the school's program was and what they were
Mm.
offering, right? And so that was a big problem because the students were thinking, oh, great, so I'm going to sign up for this or something. And come to find out that, the chatbot was just using general knowledge. So it was not restricted. And so you want to, make sure you iterate over and over before you actually kind of do the full out launch. And even after then, you want to monitor the responses over time.
Right. Now, I love that you stressed all that pre-planning, before even the structure of the chatbot. And then just like I'm just looking again at the chat, what Devron said that the point of the maintenance and the refinement and the updates are so critical. Yeah.
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge, right? So, people have ideas. Okay, they want a chatbot, and so the wrong thing is to do is to go and build this great system and just put it out there, right?
Hmm.
There's so many things can go wrong. First of all, it may not be ideal for your situation, for your business. Secondly, if you have not used the right data, it may be giving, incorrect information. Then, of course, we have the chatbots have the tendency to hallucinate. And so they can really go, of course, and it only takes one negative interaction with a customer for them to not want to go back
Right.
there, so you want to avoid that. So getting clarity at first, understanding the business and its unique, service whatever, and understanding what the business objectives are, what the brand is all about, getting that first, and then using that to design the strategy, then getting clarity from all the stakeholders, and then doing prototype testing, and then expanding, little by little.
Exactly. Absolutely. Um, Two-parter from Devron. After his first question, he also asked, what are the opportunities you have witnessed chatbots create for designers and creatives? Does it benefit to hire a copywriter or consultant to help create the foundational reference material? Well, let's stop there because he had another part of that question. So could you address that?
So no. You don't need because the data is going to come from you, from your business, your website, your whatever data you have. And so it's going to take a person trained in chatbot building, right? Because you have to understand the intent and context and conversation flow management. That's what's really important to, because I can get ChatGPT to generate 20, 50 question answers about your business if you tell me what the business is about, right? If I get all the information, I give it to the model and I say, generate 50 question answers that I can use to train or implement a chatbot. So you don't need a copywriter necessarily. You need someone who understands how to build a good chatbot.
Yeah, I got you. All right. He also asks, are new chatbot integrations something that deserves marketing campaign announcements?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right? Because of what I mentioned before, some people may have negative ideas of what a chatbot is, and others may not understand the benefits of it. And people might have either too high lofty expectations or too low lofty expectations.
Right.
So yes, it's important to do some kind of information as far as the public is concerned, that you have this chatbot and here's what it is and here's what it's intended to do, and you would love for them to give you some feedback in using it, and just knowing that, hey, we're trying this out, so don't, it's in beta.
Cool. Okay, last part of his question, then we'll get to another question because I know Lisa had one as well. Do we focus on selling landing pages and reward experiences to support chatbots and the data that we pull from them?
Landing pages to support chatbots? No, because the chatbots themselves, so the chatbots will collect the same data that the landing page would provide, right? So you can set up your chatbot to collect emails or whatever, or you can set it up such that you don't require that. One of the nice chatbots I've interacted with and been credited for system is that, because I hate when I go to a site and I'm trying to just briefly interact, it wants my email. And sometimes it doesn't even just want an email, it wants a business email. And I'm like, I don't want to give you my business email. I may not want you to email me ever again. So you can have a chat bot that acts like a landing page, and that way it's much more customized. So all of the information that you have on the landing page, you can incorporate that into the chatbot, but it in such a way that the user will then zero in on what is important to them. Whereas in the landing page, they don't have a choice. All the information is there. They just have, but you can use your chatbot as a landing page. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. Okay, Lisa had a question. She said the C-suite management consultants often see chatbots as pure cost cutting. How do you educate clients that it is a value add, a critical part to the brand experience, and not just an excuse to slash headcount?
Yeah, that's actually very, very important, right? Because you want to, the goal is to give the customer, the client, the potential client, whatever, the best experience. And so here's a tool that can do that, but it should not replace the human element, because that's what it's all about. Businesses, in marketing in general, right? It's about, as far as I say, it should be about making connections with humans, right? And hopefully providing them some kind of service, meeting their needs, or reducing their pain points. Those are just some of the things that businesses should be doing. And so the chatbot will then help you to be better able to maybe streamline some of the process, automate some of the things, but it should never replace the human element.
Right.
That is so critical. As much as I think chatbots are great. There are just certain things that chatbots cannot do, even in the field of marketing. So yes, it can analyze the data, and yes, it can make suggestions about marketing campaigns, but you still need a human to go in there and humanize the thing, right? Because we've all seen whether content or whatever generated purely by an LLM or some kind of AI, and immediately we can't really tell what it is, but there's something that sounds weird or warped about it.
Right.
And so you want to make sure you have the human element. Oh my goodness, it's so important. A couple of weeks ago, my colleague Darren, he shared a post about Instacart that decided to use AI to generate images for their food, whatever.
Right.
The images were horrible. I don't know if you've ever come. I mean, it was just stuff that you would never see in real life. And there was no human to kind of go over this and say, hey, that's not what spaghetti looks like or something, so you definitely always need it. Should, the way to see the chatbots are as a tool that will automate tasks and relieve employees and others of some of these manual repetitive type activities, so they have more time to dedicate to the more creative, the more human type of things that they probably would not have had time to if they were doing all of the other automated things that a machine can do. So that's the way to see it. It should
Right.
be empowering.
Absolutely. As much as I would love to jump back down into this rabbit hole, we're coming close to our time, but I wanted to circle back a little bit, if you do not mind. We talked about all the checks and balances, just not letting the chatbots run rampant, and to be able to go back and do the maintenance and the upgrades as they see, as they are needed. So what else besides all of that could you suggest that businesses do to best measure the effectiveness of what they're implementing with their chatbots in their marketing campaigns? Like, what are some of the indicators that you would suggest that they remain focused on?
Yes, right. So then that goes back to the initial stages of, meeting with the stakeholders and setting up a strategy, because when I design a chatbot or a CAI system, part of that design is the metric that will be used to evaluate the models, right? And that is established from the beginning. So you can't build the thing and then decide, well, let's use this to see it. No, you have to know first what the objective is. What is the ask? What is it addressing? What is the pain point? What, all of these. And then based on that, you will then decide what is the metric that you're going to use to evaluate the performance of the model. So it could be something user experience related, right? So you want to know how has it improved the user experience. So you can measure the frequency of interaction, the how long they interact with the chatbot. Then you can also kind of have something in the chatbot where they can indicate whether they were satisfied or not, and so use that to kind of see how that is changing, improving over time, or even compared to in the past, like how much are the users getting what they need. Then there's the other side of it in terms of the ROI, the uh, lead generation. If you're getting more leads as a result, that could be one of the metrics. But in terms of how much money you're spending on your marketing or other venture, and then in return, how much business it's generating. You can also use the metrics in terms of where what kind of efficiency is been optimized as internally for your employees and others. How fast are they able to do certain tasks now? There are a bunch of metrics, and I have a whole list of them somewhere on these slides. Let me see. I got too many slides right now. But yeah, there are just a number of metrics that you can use as part of the part of your evaluation of the model's performance. But you want to make sure that you set that up in the very beginning of your design of the model's performance, because then you can go on and when you're evaluating, say when you have the prototype of the model, you can do, you measure it, you notice that, hey, it's giving this kind of response, but it's not giving this kind of response. So now you can go in, you can tweak it in terms of its creativity, or how well it's sticking to the answers in the training document, or you can even change the information in the training document to help the model to perform better. So you want to establish the metrics upfront.
Nice. Outstanding. Dr. Uohna, thank you so much for all of this. This is incredible. I'm leaving this conversation so much smarter.
Awesome. That's always the
So
goal.
much more interested in the back workings of all this, and to be a little bit more adept on starting to build my own. So this was incredible. And I was not kidding when I said we were going to have you back to do exactly that. That must happen.
Yeah, because there are like, I wish I could show the slides, because I have another slide where I show all of the different platforms that you can build chatbots on, and the ones that are rule-based and the ones that are AI, and all the advantages and disadvantages of it. And in fact, on my portfolio page, I have some of that information.
Oh, nice. Save it. We're gonna look at all of that.
Okay.
I swear to God. Thank you again so much. Before we're gonna open up the floor to everybody, as they can come in if they have to ask any other extra questions. But before we close this out, can you let our listeners and viewers know where they can find and maybe connect with you?
Yes. So of course, LinkedIn. It's probably where I am the most. And then there is the website, and I think I shared the link to my portfolio. I don't know if that's something that you share. Right. So there's that. And yeah, so nextelligence.ai. There you can find me. There's also my email address, and yeah, but I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So
Nice. Oh my God, this was incredible. Thank you for all of this information. Thank you for your insight and the way that you teach. I can tell you have a passion for education, and this is what I wish I was in college right now, because I would not, I would be the one. I know you joked about this earlier, but I would be the one. You would see my live face, totally delved into
engaged
this,
and involved.
totally engaged. No fake screen of me, and I'm off somewhere. I love to have this access to this type of knowledge. So again, thank you. We're so grateful.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I did my TikTok channel, because I felt like,
oh my God, thank you for reminding me. I'm God.
I felt like this is the type of information that everyone should
Wait, is that your husband?
Yes.
Outstanding. I love this.
Yeah, you guys have to check it out.
He is into this. Outstanding.
I have lots of information on here about the different types of chatbots and how they work, and what Yeah, so it's something that I really, really feel strongly about because, my thing with the TikTok was like, if these young people and others are learning these complicated dances so very quickly and easily, then yes, they can learn about artificial intelligence as well.
Right.
So it's that.
That is so exciting. Wait,
Right.
Deborah said he's definitely following you. Like,
Awesome.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Again, thank you so much. I'm so glad we were able to have this conversation, and the value was unbelievable. We're all gonna have to probably take a nap after this and recover from all of this information, but you have been
Listen, we're gonna build chatbots.
phenomenal.
That's gonna be where the real yeah, no,
Can't
I think
wait.
it'll be fun. It'll be so much fun. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh. Thank you so much.
you've been manning the chat. I hope there
Yeah.
were no pressing
I think we got everything covered.
Okay.
Let me ask one. I didn't miss a question, did I? Did anyone ask something that I scrolled past? I don't think so. I think we're probably good. And I think honestly, the questions that I had, we ended up touching on them in one of the rabbit holes we were in.
I
So
know. Yes.
we're good.
That was kind of all over the place. So, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we're gonna end this. And again, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you took the time to share all this with us. We're better for it.
Thank you all for inviting me. Thank you. This was so fun.